Last year, we brought you state-ranked matchups, crosstown rivalries, and section showdowns. This year, we're doing it all over again, bringing you 10 action-packed matchups in 10 weeks. Football nights are back home, right here on the Flagship Network. It all starts right now. We'll be right back.
This ain't no regular thing. I came for the ring, you know what I mean. I shoot my shot and it's clean. This for my city, yeah, this for my team. If you talking
Welcome in, everyone, to our preseason kickoff show here at Exeter Township High School. My name is Max Gretzula, joined by Bruce Badgley. Very excited to be back with you here in 2025. Mentioned in the open, we did this last year. We get to do it again. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, we didn't do it on the field here at Exeter.
No, definitely not.
Last year we actually did it on the field at Wyo,
Yes.
on scrimmage day, which was a lot of fun. Kind of, broke things open here for Flagship Network, but so many good games on tap this year.
Oh my God, it's just going to be a lot of fun. And speaking of that, new turf here behind us at Exeter Township High School. So I know it's going to be a lot of fun for the fans. It's going to be a lot of fun for the students. Just a little nuance, a little tidbit to add in to what we have here in 2025. So it's definitely going to be cool for the student athletes to dive into and have some fun. And I know hopefully we all do as well here as we kick off the 2025 season. So on that note, you got an opportunity, Bruce, to talk to head coach Matt Bauer and kind of pick his brain a little bit and see what he had to say about the upcoming season.
Yeah, Matt is one that, he's taken this program from nothing, and nothing being, 0-10 to, district championships, lost, unfortunately, to a pretty powerful Bishop McDevitt team, in the District 5A championship.
Understatement with Bishop McDevitt power.
Understatement, right. I mean, it's the eventual state champion there. But, Matt's done a great job. Some of the things I asked him about is, how you really build a program. Because each year over the last couple of years, Exeter is just reloaded,
Mm-hmm.
And, it was funny. I was on the field with Bishop McDevitt today. And who's he asking about? Well, they're asking about Exeter. So,
sure.
Some really interesting things going on.
For obvious reasons. So, without further ado, let's hear from Matt Bauer himself, head coach of Exeter.
We just stick to our core values and consistency. I mean, these guys are committed to us year-round. They want it that way, and, they always rise to the occasion. They're willing to put in the extra time, be there at all times. We really try to build a nice relationship with all our players, too, give them the full football family experience. And we hold them to a higher standard, and they always meet or exceed our expectations. Again, we're highly motivated, and, we didn't like the way last year ended. Again, the group sitting next to me has had some great leaders before them, but they've also risen into huge leadership roles. This is probably the most player-led team I've had, and that was kind of an emphasis going into this offseason. They do a lot of things on their own, and that's really the mark of a good group.
Obviously, a lot of good information there from Coach Bauer, and their preseason ranked in 5A, top 5 in the state moving forward here as we begin this season. That's pretty exciting for them, I'm sure.
Pretty exciting. I think it's just pretty exciting for the Lancaster Lebanon League in general. I mean, the level of competition, in Section 2 of the LL is really going to be, something to watch. But, you can see on your screen there the 5A state rankings, Exeter there at number 6, but my, oh my, look at the star-studded group of teams right there. Pine Richland, I mean, they're two-time state champion. one in 6A, one in 5A. Roman Catholic made it to the title game last year. Don't forget about Chester. I mean, they have just come on, and look out for Penn Hills. I think that's a team out of the Whippio that really might wake up a few people.
Well, I'll tell you what, Penn Lie's finest right here sitting next to me. So obviously a lot of great information. And on that note, let's introduce our 10-game schedule here. 10 games in 10 weeks. It's going to be a lot of fun. You see it right there on the right side of your screen. And, Bruce, we'll kind of just go through here one by one before we jump in deeper into our first matchup. Obviously, we have West York and Elko kicking things off. That's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, it really is. I think two teams that are trying to set the tone for this season. I mean, a very, very, very important game. You know, West York coming back from an 0-10 season.
Yes, 2 years ago.
2 years ago, and 2-8 the year before that. Coach Miller has just done an incredible job with West York, but Elko as well. I mean, they're coming back. They had a really good season 2 years ago, 500 last year. But I think this game is going to set the tone for both of these teams for the rest of their season.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Elko coming off a season in which they went 4-3 in their section, 6-6, overall. So kind of middle of the pack. It's going to be a big-time opportunity for them in week one to try to hit the ground running here. Battle of the Millers, obviously coaches.
Yeah.
One in their 14th season, the other in their 12th season at the helm. So obviously the experience is there. It's going to be who's going to execute, I guess, coming out of training camp in the week one. I mean, the tensions are going to be pretty high as they want to get the ball rolling.
And West York isn't going to sneak up on anybody like they did last year, okay?
Yeah.
I mean, let's be real here. Everybody's going, oh, they were 0-10 last year. Like, coming out of the blocks, they had a great start to the season in large part because, hey, look, people maybe took them lightly. Well, they're not going to be taken lightly this year.
100%.
And they're going to have to prove it.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Just some quick updates here for the fans of Elko and the fans, really, the Flagship Network here. I got some good information. As of last year, Octorara was beaten by the Elko Raiders, obviously, in the District 3 tournament, and then they lost 42-7 to Lampeter-Strasburg. But a lot of people lost to LS last season, so that's not really too much to harp on moving forward. Obviously, that's a successful season in most books.
It is, and, both of these teams, really have a difficult time, in the district when you're butting heads, when you're trying to make those advances, and you're butting heads with the teams like, LS and Wyomissing, in the district there. I mean, that's a tough road to hoe, but you have to take it one step at a time. Every coach you talk to, it's, win your section or your district, and then, see what happens in the postseason, see if you can get a home playoff game and go from there.
100%. The quarterback position for the Elko Raiders is going to be talked about throughout training camp. It has been, I should say, and then obviously moving forward, have to replace quarterback Steven Rosado. And Brindley Don Moyer is going to be the quarterback to start the 2025 season, quarterback and linebacker. So we'll see. I don't know. I know a lot of the coaches don't like to have their quarterback play both sides of the ball, but at the end of the day, he might have to. It depends on really the bodies that they have moving forward here in training camp.
One of the questions I always like to ask, that the quarterback when they do that is like, how do you flip that switch?
Yeah,
and
definitely.
Also, you're putting licks on guys on one side, and then you're kind of leaving yourself wide open on the other.
100%.
But none of them shy away from it. These athletes that come out here, they strap it on, they go full tilt, and it's fun to watch.
A lot of notes here in front of me, obviously, for these two teams. I mean, you mentioned it, though. I just touching on West York to start. I mean, 9-3 overall record last year. You mentioned the 0-10 start 2 seasons ago. Big-time turnaround. You mentioned no one's going to sneak up on them this year. And I guess overall, their head coach, Coach Miller, really in the last 2-3 years has gone from the bottom of the barrel to the top.
I can only think back on 2 years ago when I was at the York Adams Media Day and asked Coach Miller, I said, well, he's starting over here, coming off an 0-10 season. There was a lot of bravado. There was a lot of confidence, and he proved it out on the field. 100%. I mean, I still think back on that, and just a tremendous effort.
Jensen Ferber, sophomore, is going to get the start at the quarterback position so far in training camp. So 2 new quarterbacks coming in for both of these teams. We'll see what happens in week one. Again, that takes place 7 days from tonight, next Friday night. Let's take a look at the fan vote here as we wrap up our first matchup. See what the fans, you guys who tune in and watch us, are thinking overall in this matchup. Really could go either way, Bruce.
Yeah, it really could go either way. I mean, and that's why I said it's so very important for both teams to kind of set that momentum. And it's so important for the schools, too. Forgetting about that, the whole emotion of a high school is so driven by the success of their football team in the fall.
No doubt about it. Don't know if we have that graphic for the fan vote popped up on the screen. We'll try to get it as soon as we can. But in the meantime, Bruce, as we wrap up here, we're talking about Elko, talking about West York, York Adams League, Lancaster Lebanon League. I had the opportunity to really dive into and dissect, in a way, broadcasting in the LNL League for the first time last season, more about these teams in Elko. But you're a Penn Live guy. You know, you travel west of Lancaster, something I don't do a whole lot often.
Well, we go east too. I mean,
True.
I do a lot of stuff in the Philadelphia area, District 1. I'll talk about the Whitfield as well. I just really enjoy understanding, a season has ebbs and flows.
Sure.
And, loving to trying to connect the dots between teams and, section championships, district championships, and then in the PIAA.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about week 2.
Ooh.
Brandon, our producer, has been harping on this all offseason, all of our pre-production meetings behind the scenes, how big of a matchup this is going to be week 2 for the Flagship Network. Obviously, Manheim Township is their powerhouse. It's going to be a different look this year, obviously losing Carson Weiser, great quarterback last season, and Central York, a team that you know better than I do. It's going to be a big-time battle in week 2.
Yeah. And do we have an interview with Mark Evans?
We definitely do. Yeah,
Okay.
we definitely hear from Coach Evans and kind of get his thoughts, obviously, as he dives into a new season with a new quarterback.
No, I think we had a strong football season, off season. I think our guys are enjoying the climb, enjoying the process. The one thing that I think they do a great job of, and I think we all do, is building relationships. And we spend an awful lot of time together. The first, second semester, we're together for 18 weeks in the morning, 6 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. every day. And that, to me, is powerful, just to make those connections. So I think we're in a great position right now. Having a large team helps. Having some choices, getting some young guys some opportunities throughout the season, getting them off the field, making sure we're taking care of our guys health-wise. So that's a big part of it, making sure you're preparing for a long season, and always planning for tomorrow. I think if you want to live a long life, you want to live a long playoff life, you want to live a long season, you always got to plan for tomorrow and continue to push for that next game, that next practice, that next day. And from the off-season perspective, getting us prepared for the non-league schedule is paramount, because to quote from the Marine Corps t-shirt that I love the most is, the finest steel has to go through the hottest fire. And Lao Tzu, the art of war, the more you sweat in peace, the less you're going to bleed in war. So I use those mantras in terms of how we go about our preparation. We go to team camp. We had 100-plus kids at team camp. I thought we had one of our best team camps in the 13 years I've been associated with Manheim Township. So I'm feeling very confident that we're in the right stages to get ready for the season.
Well, I'll tell you what, Carson Weiser, Declan Clancy, 2 big-time athletes, 2 big-time players. That production's gone from a year ago. This year, they still have high expectations. That's just how it is with this team every single season.
Yeah, and, I think with any season, it, kind of takes a while for a team, to get some chemistry. And, early on, I think for Manheim Township, the Central York Manheim Township, matchup is one that, Manheim Township looking for that chemistry. Central York, pretty much not a lot of questions in there. Central York ranked number 10 in the state rankings there. No surprise, St. Joe Prep and LaSalle College, 1 and 2. I mean, they're ultimately play for the Philadelphia Catholic League Championship. Harrisburg, far and away the favorite to take 6A in District 3. Pittsburgh Central Catholic opens up against LaSalle College, so we'll get some kind of a lay of the land in District 3 coming up. State College out of the Mid-Penn Conference again. North Allegheny, Imhotep Charter, they're always going to be tough. So same old story, same old song and dance. I mean, a lot of the same powerhouse teams, are back at it. But we talked about Central York. I mean, really have a lot of good returning talent. And that just leads to so much confidence forgetting about, during a game, throughout the entire offseason, through preseason camp, guys are looking in players' eyes and they know what they see, and that's really important.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, Central York, a team last year, 9-3 overall. This is going to be a Week 2 matchup. It's obviously going to be a very exciting one, too. And Central York, Class 6A, and you just mentioned, went down the rankings. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of hype around this game for obvious reasons. And when you talk about Manheim Township and what they did a season ago, I mean, 10-2 overall record. They're obviously a powerhouse team as well. But they're going to need to replace Declan Clancy. They're going to have to replace Lex Haberbosch. They're going to have to replace Carson Weiser. We mentioned that. Owen Marks, one of the top offensive linemen of the season last year. So obviously a lot to replace. And this is a big-time clash in Week 2. I mean, very early on in the season, a litmus test, some might say, overall. Jack Kneff is going to be back, and he's looking to take the reins as a starting quarterback. Taylor Valou, who he's a big-time player on both sides of the football, offensively and defensively, obviously, one of their important defensive linemen. And he's going to be asked to do a little bit more overall, really, for this team, not only on the field, but probably off the field as well.
Yeah, and all I have to say, talking to Jack Kneff at the Lancaster 11th League Media Day, there's a young man with no lack of confidence. He understands he's stepping into some pretty big shoes as being the quarterback of Manheim Township. Really has, Manheim Township solidified that position throughout the years here as one of the, top quarterbacks in not District 3, but, across the state of Pennsylvania. So, but I think how they go in Manheim Township this year is a lot going to be dependent on where Jack Kneff can take them.
Yeah, and I think when you're talking about reloading, there's going to be a lot of it, obviously, there at Manheim Township. So let's pop the fan vote up on the screen, see what you guys are thinking about a Week 2 matchup. Obviously, I'm super excited to be there and see what the fans think about it. And we're going to get the graphic up on the screen momentarily. And there you see it, Manheim Township. Yeah. Popularity contest possibly there, Bruce.
Yeah, I think, look, it's great to get the fans involved. Thanks for all the fans who, saw it and voted there. But I guess the outreach, the Manheim Township there, big time. But just a very important matchup for, I think, the district championships, and then how the power rankings will fall out, as the season progresses.
Yeah, without a doubt. And also, we talk about how important the Week 2 matchup is with what you see on your screen right now. But not only that, the Week 10 matchup against Wilson is going to be a massive test as well as we close out the regular season on that note. So let's take us to our first break. When we come back, we'll have a special guest on set as we get set to harp and touch on our third game, which I'm getting really excited to look forward to. It's going to be another big one. So stick with us, guys.
Hey guys, we're heading into No Albies here in West Reading. We've got the West Reading French Fry Fest next Saturday, so we're gonna shoot a little content with Massimo in here for the Visit West Reading Instagram page.
Welcome back in, everyone. Max Gretzula alongside Bruce Badgley and the legend himself, Mick Vecchio, joining us. 44 years of coaching experience, a lot of sports covering experience. So I'm out experienced up here by a lot of years. Let's just call it what it is. So, first of all, Coach, appreciate you joining us. Welcome to the set. We won't keep you too long, but we definitely want to pick your brain, about what you've been doing since you got out of coaching, obviously last season.
Well, every morning I either play or teach pickleball.
Wow. I like that.
And I have three, and then as the day goes on, I now have three granddaughters that are playing high school sports for Wilson. One's in water polo, one's in water polo and soccer. and field hockey.
Wow.
So,
It's a trifecta.
yeah. And our oldest granddaughter, she's now swimming for Florida Gulf Coast.
Wow.
So I hope to get down there a little bit in the.
Isn't that the one right on the Atlantic? Oh, no, maybe Florida Atlantic.
Yeah, this is on the Gulf side.
Okay.
It's in Fort Myers,
Wow.
right outside of Fort Myers.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate you joining us. Bruce, I know you got a handful of questions here. I got a few too. So the floor is yours.
Handful of questions, but, gosh, one of the things that I've always wondered about is you kind of bridge the gap between, there's still so much talk about what is the right number of classifications to have for high school football. And obviously you were successful in 4 classifications and, moved into the 6. Which do you think is better for high school football, 4 or 6 classifications?
I would say the way it is right now is the best. This is what I feel is the best. And I also think that what Berks County did of getting into the Lancaster Lebanon League, I think that has become the fairest thing that could be done to all the schools.
Mm-hmm.
So that a place, Governor Mifflin doesn't wind up playing a small school. That's no good, because there are a couple of years I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings that we played Fleetwood, and that was not a good thing at the time.
Yeah, there wasn't really any competitive balance.
So I think what's going on right now is the best I've seen.
Wow. Good stuff. Good stuff. So, and also another thing, too, is that, the PIAA has the success formula, where if you win too many games, like Wyomissing, unfortunately, was a local casualty of the success formula last year, moving up from 3A to 4A. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, do you think that that's the right approach to take to create, parity within the PIAA?
I think the jury's out on that whole thing. I think Wyomissing will wind up being successful in 4A, but it's too new.
Yeah.
You need 10 years to get an idea. This is working, or is this?
Well, they still keep tweaking it every year too. With the transfers and stuff like that, they're not really staying consistent.
Yeah, let me ask you this question, because this has been on my mind, and I know you talk about recruiting and whatnot from a college perspective, and I was talking to Bruce off camera, like, you guys recruit the high school level too. I thought it was just whatever district you lived in, that's where you went to play. But talk about over your coaching career. I know skill sets change, players change. What's it like going into a new season when, 1 year you have maybe a mobile quarterback, the next year you have more of a pocket passer, the next year you have, a running back that's great between the tackles, and then another year you have one that's, great about getting around the edge on the outside using the quickness. Like, how does the game plan change and the scheme changes over all those years of coaching? Because I know you probably want to keep it the same and consistent as much as you can and build a culture, but it can't be the same every year just based on the type of talent you have.
Well, obviously we're unique the way we've run our offense over the last 30 years. And what we need is the best athlete on the field, the quarterback. And he doesn't have to be able to throw the ball just so he can throw the ball a little bit.
Right.
And then everything seems to fall in place with what's happened now. Obviously, we've been fortunate with some kids that have been very good. So, I can't speak to the majority of teams. If you're a passing team and all of a sudden you look at what's below you and you have nobody coming up at the quarterback position, well, then you're in a little bit of trouble.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's what I always thought about. I was like, are you recruiting? Are you just kind of going out there and trying to say, okay, listen, this is what you guys need to work on in the off season. This is how you're going to improve, because this is what I need you to do, when fall comes around. So it's obviously a lot of great information. I appreciate that. Bruce, what do you got next?
Well, and the same thing too is boundary versus non-boundary schools. It's the same thing. What's your feeling on that? I mean, there's talk that the PIAA may split out, the boundary schools out of the non-boundary schools for tournaments. What are your thoughts about that? I mean, I don't think I've ever heard your opinion on that. And we talk about a lot of stuff.
I don't think that's going to happen in my lifetime.
Yeah,
there are too many politics involved, and it's just going to stay the way it is. Like when you're in 6A and you're playing against a school that has kids playing on the team from New Jersey, something's not right. it's not right.
Sure.
That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
What has it been like for you? I know this is only our second season doing it. What's the media coverage been like? And you talk about, how these student athletes get so much more media attention with the social media aspect of things. And, I'm sure stuff like this 30 years ago wasn't really happening. So what's the feeling been like? Is that pretty cool to be able to experience?
Well, it is and it's not, because I think one of the big thrills for a high school football player was to get up on Saturday morning and look at the paper real quick to see what was there.
Sure.
And, well, that's not the case
all the
anymore.
devices nowadays. Yeah.
So, I haven't seen much of a difference other than that.
Sure.
Wow. Interesting. And, and it's always tough, but we talk about maybe, your greatest wins, in 44 years of coaching. It's really hard to pinpoint it. Obviously, I was on the field of what they call maybe the biggest upset in PIAA, tournament football history, when you went in and beat, Harrisburg with Micah Parsons on their home field, in the district semifinal. But that was just one game. I mean, obviously you've got a career of games. What would you rank as maybe your greatest, win?
Well, I think I'd have to say that was the biggest win because they were the number one team in the state by far. And the second one was the third round of the playoffs against Wilson.
Right.
That was also pretty
that was pretty incredible too. I remember that one. And but there obviously, you go back, quite a bit there. But even from that, are there any other games that stick out to you that were of such significance to the program? One of the things that I always look at was when you won the Eastern Conference Championship, and I think it was back in, I don't know, maybe 2006 or what have you. And winning that game just seemed to propel the program forward to a stratosphere that just kept going, which, you might say, well, Eastern Conference Championship, I always felt that was one of the biggest wins in Governor Mifflin history because it just set you guys off on a different trajectory.
It did. You're right. You're 100% right about that. We beat Muhlenberg the last game of the season, got in the Eastern Conference, and won those two games. And things really started to take off then.
What with those matchups with Muhlenberg? What are the memories were like for you? I mean, I know that's a big time rivalry, and you look back on so many years of coaching. Do you have anything that stands out against that opponent?
Well, the first thing was it used to be a personal thing because I went there.
Okay, fair enough.
And for us, the Mifflin game was the game of the year.
Yeah, of course.
But then you get old like everybody else, and it's just another game, and we get ready for it. But there were some good games when Yoakum was still around. There were some real good games.
No doubt.
And then when he left, then things just started going down a little bit.
Sure. Last one for you, and then we'll let you go. Coaching certain players over the years, sending them away to Division I programs and possibly beyond. I know that's pretty impressive, and it's also a lot of fun for younger audiences now with social media to just be able to see these guys. You talk about Nick Singleton, who's just had a crazy game against Notre Dame in the semifinal last year in the college football playoff. What was it like coaching him? I mean, Bruce and I talked off camera about sometimes he would get a play call and it would be like 9 seconds left till halftime. I will just hand it off still regardless, and he'd take it 50 yards to the house. How much of a great player, but not only that, just being on the sidelines, being able to watch him play up close and personal, and now seeing his trajectory take off and where he is now.
Well, Nick is a unique kid. There are very few like him because he doesn't say boo, doesn't talk. You give him a hard time. A lot of times he doesn't get it.
Sure. It's a lot of kids, right?
When Nick was in 9th grade, we had a move. By the way, I was no longer the head coach. I had retired,
right.
And Jeff took over.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened was that our running back position, we weren't getting it done, and we had to move Nick to running back.
Mm-hmm.
So during defensive practice, I worked with Nick and a quarterback and a center. Then when we went offense, I watched every move he made. So I got to know him pretty good as a 9th grader.
Yeah.
And he's the perfect role model for high school kids, little kids.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say enough about him.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean,
and his family are the perfect parental role models.
Mm-hmm.
and he's homegrown. He lives up right
just-
by the pool, and that's where he's good for.
Yeah, no.
Not too far away from college there, Bruce, too, at Penn State.
Yeah, right. Got to cover him. I had opportunity to cover him at Penn State there too, and it's funny. I run into his dad all the time. Like, believe it or not, coming back from the games and whatnot.
Sure.
And talk about it there, but you're right about the family and Nick. I mean, pretty special.
Yeah.
Special group there. And any other special guys over the years that come to mind? I mean, probably maybe the next one, might be Jan Johnson as far as what he meant to the program.
I'm afraid I'm going to miss somebody here, but there were a lot of guys that, going all the way back to,
Sure.
do you ever hear of Danny Batts when he played quarterback for us? And, I could brag and say my 3 kids weren't bad football players. But then you have a guy like Cameron Wolf who had leadership ability out the butt. Even the guys,
And he's the QB that beat Harrisburg.
yeah. And then you got Isaac Russ, who now flies jets in the Navy or in the Marines, and it's
Another
just,
guy on that team that beat Harrisburg.
Yeah. That was a catch-all day for us, that's for sure. It was neat, really neat.
Well, Coach, we really appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us. It's a lot of great information, a lot of great insight.
Good to see you.
Thanks for taking the time.
Great to talk to you on the sidelines again.
From Mifflin's past to their present, we'll touch on them when we come back next.
Honey.
Time to go to Dean's. For every phase of your life, Dean's Auto Plaza has you covered.
Hey, Dad, can I borrow the keys?
Time to go to Dean's again. Whether it's your first car, your family car, or your dream car, you gotta come back to Dean's. Dean's Auto Plaza, Hanover's car and truck giants. Experience the Dean's difference.
Welcome back to our 2025 preseason kickoff show, everyone. My name is Max Gretzula, joined by Bruce Badgley out of our break here. Great information there, obviously from the legend himself. Head coach, assistant coach at one point, Mick Vecchio. A lot of great information, Bruce. And, it's a great guy to have, really. Super excited to have him join us just to give the fans a little bit of insight. I know a lot of the, kids growing up coming to these games, see these coaches and players on the sidelines. It's great to get that information behind the scenes, especially from someone that's probably laying on the beach every day now at this point.
Well, he said, he starts his day still very active. Teaching pickleball.
He's in great. He looks in great shape.
And then, with his grandkids, I know that. I've got, a grandson that keeps me hopping too, and he's got 3. So that's going to be kind of crazy. But so great catching up with Mick and just a living legend. And now we're off to, the rest of our lineup.
Yeah, we got a lot to still hit here, so we're going to jump into it next. It's going to be Hempfield, and it's going to be Governor Mifflin week 3. So that's going to be another test. I will say, shout out to Governor Mifflin's field. Love that press box. Love that entry there. I don't know why. Maybe because
the deck.
The deck is great, and it was my first game football-wise that I went to and school-wise against Pleasant Valley last year. So that's a lot of fun. But head coach Nick Morrissey coming in, another season at the helm. He's got a lot to clean up here. Reese Hole, gone. Grady Gardner, gone. Javen Pletz, gone. So that's your starting quarterback, your starting running back, and the two-way player, Reese Hole, who was one of the best D-backs in the county really last year. So, a lot to replace, but that's why he gets paid the big bucks there as the head coach and a lot of pressure.
Well, I think even more so, I think what he's got to replace is, he's done a lot of changes on the staff, and every head coach will tell you that, their staff does the majority of the actual coaching, of the players. So for me and Governor Mifflin, I'm really anxious to see how the new coaching staff is going to mold this team into what, Coach Vecchio talked about, that they've run the ball and run it again and run it some more at Governor Mifflin for decades. And I don't see him changing that. I do see him, just like you touched on, I do see him molding that offense around the players that they've got available to do the job.
Sure.
And that's the job of the assistant coaches. So I think a real key to Governor Mifflin this year is not necessarily a player, but how well that coaching staff can, mold themselves into a unit that's going to deliver the message to those kids.
You used that word mold twice, and I think it's a great one, because that was kind of my question for Coach was, every year the talent changes. And you have guys graduating, guys coming in, younger guys that are eager for an opportunity, way different skill sets. Does that change the offense or does it not? And that's what it is for head coach Nick Morrissey in his second season.
Sure.
Not a ton of experience like these other guys have around Berks County and beyond Lancaster County as well.
Sure.
You look at some of these coaches with, 10, 15 plus years experience. I know we're going to get to Wilson shortly with Coach Doug Doms, and he's got some great experience as well. So, not really wanting to feel too much pressure if you're Nick Morrissey, but kind of is on. A 5-6 record last year, ground and pound. Will it be there again this year from a rushing attack? We'll see. And I think that's the biggest question. Are they going to be able to run it as efficiently as they did a year ago?
Yeah, and they've got to play a Section 2 schedule in the Lancaster Lebanon League. That is really going to be difficult. One of the games that they got is, Muhlenberg and Governor Mifflin as well. I mean, and I think we'll touch on that,
Sure.
in a little while as well. But, Hempfield, it's been Manheim Township and Wilson at the top of it's death taxes and Manheim Township and Wilson being 1, 2, or, in the Lancaster Lebanon League Section 1. Hempfield looking to kind of break through, to kind of break into that, to win a district championship. So they've got a lot on the line. I know Coach Egger, he's put a lot of emphasis on this offseason, got an opportunity to speak to him at Media Day there. They're really focused. That's going to be an enormous challenge for Governor Mifflin.
I mean, 6th season now for Coach Egger and 27-26 overall record. So almost dead even down the middle. But Derek Catch, the all-everything quarterback, is back, 2,000-yard passer a season ago. Got to see him play in person. We did one Hempfield game last year. We get to do another one this year. Do you expect him to take even a bigger step forward this year from a passing attack at least?
I do. I really do. And I think that's the most important level of experience that you can have in high school football is have an experienced quarterback under center.
Yeah, Ethan Caldwell too back. I mean, a couple other names on here, Orion Abrams as well. I mean, these are key starters that are coming back. Unlike a lot of the other teams around different sections, a lot of these players are still coming back for this Hempfield team. So they got to feel pretty confident for the most part.
And they think there's blood in the water. I mean, for
Sure.
them, with all those guys coming back, they're just as tired of hearing Wilson and Manheim Township as anybody. So I think that's maybe a sleeper team to look out for this season, not only in Lancaster Lebanon League Section 1, but maybe even in the district playoff.
Touch on the defense as well. I mean, that D-line's back for the most part too. I think defense is going to be key. I mean, he gave up 49 points to Cedar Crest in their opening round loss in the playoffs last season. Got to limit the damage. I mean, they put up 29 points, which is great in that loss in the playoffs, but they gave up 49. You're not going to win too many games giving up that many.
No, you're not. But I think that's the points is key. I mean, that's really the issue with Governor Mifflin. Where are they going to get the points on offense this year? I think that's a big question mark for Governor Mifflin. How are they going to impose their will on their opponent? They're geared to playing from being ahead. I mean, with the ground and pound and what have you, they've got to get out there and score points.
Yep.
And I think that's the single biggest question mark for Governor Mifflin this year is how and who is going to score the points.
Well, fan votes like this are pretty cool to take part, just because it's kind of dead even right down the middle. We talked about this. We'll put up the graphic. It looks like Governor Mifflin's going to win this one.
Wow, okay.
And I tell you what, could be the home field advantage that they're going to have there in week 3. Maybe that's big, obviously, but we'll see. I think it's going to be a close matchup right down the middle. Two teams that offensively do it in different ways. We know Hempfield is going to want to pass the football, and we know Governor Mifflin is going to have the rushing attack as well. So it's going to be a back and forth battle. Don't know how many points I expect to be be put up. Should be a good amount. But that's why we love sports, and that's why it's fun for all of us.
That's why we play the games. That's for sure.
I love it. Let's go. Let's hit the next matchup because I know this is one you want to dive into. It's Manheim Township yet again.
Oh, it is. Manheim Township, Plymouth White Marsh. Man.
Yes, indeed.
And again, Plymouth White Marsh on this, trek to District 3 to play some, top teams. Well, they're a 6A team in District 1, and yet their league schedule is they're the biggest, team in their league down there. They've got to go actually out of, District 1, to get some 6A opponents. Oh, let's just say they want to, because the 6A opponents in their district, they want nothing to do with a Downingtown West or
right, exactly.
Or what have you.
And I think that's good. It's good to have Bruce here because he's a wealth of knowledge in football all throughout the state, really. And I know most of our viewers probably don't know a whole ton about Plymouth White Marsh, maybe for the most part, but can you give a little deep dive into what you expect this matchup to look like? Manheim Township, a team we harped on already. Clancy gone, Weiser gone. A team that's always every single year in the thick of things at the top of that section. But Plymouth White Marsh, I think they might be a little bit more hungry for the most part because they got 2 matchups on their schedule. This one being one of the biggest ones that they're going to need to come out, play at the highest of levels to try to put a big check mark in the win column, especially going on the road. This would be a big one to get. Can they do it? We'll see.
Well, Manheim Township took it to them last year, and I don't see that, that there's really going to be much of a difference there. I still feel maybe one of the toughest places to play in District 3.
Toughest press boxes to get up to, too, jumping over all those fans in the crowd. They don't have a straight line. They don't have a straight line.
We don't have an aisleway to get to the press box.
My goodness.
I don't know, but at least they can rope off something.
But it'd be nice.
But
not going to complain. I'm not going to complain. I know.
Anyway, no, Manheim Township, a really difficult place to play. Mark Evans always done a superior job, in getting ready. And obviously, at least they're going in there with, some history of what their tendencies will be coming into this game. I think it's going to be really, a tough road to hoe there for Whitemar.
Yeah, last season, number 1 seed, Cumberland Valley, got beat by Manheim Township first round of the playoffs. Eventually, Manheim Township got beat by Harrisburg, a team that you're also very familiar with, too. So we'll see. This season, different story. Take us back to this playoffs for this Manheim Township team a season ago, right? Cumberland Valley is a team that you know well. Harrisburg's a team you know well also. How great was Harrisburg last year? I know they're not on our schedule this year, but it's important to touch on just because Manheim Township last year was such a big powerhouse. They only scored 14 points against Harrisburg.
Well, Harrisburg, when they played Manheim Township in the playoffs, finally got healthy. Their big recruit lineman, Kevin Brown, missed most of the season. And that's really what Harrisburg was battling through the entire season. Yeah. One of their benchmark guys on the offensive line and kind of reinventing themselves for that game against Manheim Township. They lined 2 Penn State recruits in the backfield. They put Kevin Brown at fullback, Messiah Mickens at tailback, who is another
Messiah Mickens, what a name.
Messiah Mickens, going to Penn State as well. They basically just lined him up fullback, tailback, and said, "Try and stop us." And Harrisburg came out, on top. Not a combination I've never seen, like that. 2 Division I recruits lining up there, fullback, tailback, and but it was done for a reason. I mean, he was just a lineman, just pulling ahead there, but. It just shows you the great coaching of Cal Everett and how he kind of molds. We talk about mold, but that's what, in my opinion, makes great coaches is being able to mold a game plan around the talent you have and utilize it to the best of your ability.
Yeah, I think big picture speaking, this is a matchup where Plymouth White Marsh comes in. We talked about it. 1 opportunity, 2 on the schedule, but 1 big opportunity for them to get a W in the win column here. Going to have a lot of energy, going to travel. On top of that, you have Manheim Township every year expected to play well, expected to be at the top of their section. Change over this year, obviously, with the player personnel. Expectation is Manheim Township to win. I know we're going to reveal the fan vote momentarily.
Yeah.
But, we always say a trap
flag
game.
Yet
It'll pop up. Brandon's up there juggling different things, but
there
it is.
Manheim Township, which
we figured. We figured that.
We figured that. Yes.
But definitely going to be, I don't want to call it a trap game because on paper, Manheim Township should win this game.
Oh, this
long ride as well.
Schedule.
Long ride as well out there to Manheim Township for PW. So
Yeah.
we'll see. I'm excited for it, and it's going to be a good one. Let's transition now and get into our next matchup. Week 5 will take us to Muhlenberg High School. One of the first times I met Bruce, I asked him where in the world Muhlenberg High School was because I had no idea how to get there, and luckily he told me. So I got there. Got there 5 minutes late, but I got there. Governor Mifflin will travel this time in our Week 5 matchup. They'll go on the road. They'll play Muhlenberg, a team that we are talking about for the first time tonight, a team that you know well also.
Well, Rob Flowers, is started at Reading High, went to Daniel Boone, now at his alma mater at Muhlenberg. I mean, this is a man on a mission. It's a community on a mission because, you don't get anywhere in high school football unless you've got the community behind you. He's got the community behind him. And this is a team that, despite playing a tough Section 2 schedule by, having to play the likes of Old Berkspos, Exeter and Governor Mifflin, they're trying to break through. And this could be the year to do it with, Small there at running back, who had a breakout season last year. I think will rush for over 2,000 yards. They've got somebody that they can hang their hat on to put the offense on his shoulders and then complement him as well. And I think that's an enormous advantage for an offense going into the season is have that benchmark running back that can carry the load.
Yeah, in Section 2 for Muhlenberg, if you're talking to Muhlenberg fans now watching this segment, again, Max Gretzula, Bruce Badgley, we're kicking off our 2025 preseason show. As we look forward to this season, this matchup here in Week 4 is big. We touched on Governor Mifflin a lot throughout the show. Had head coach. Right. No, I know. The lights. We're running out of time here. But but Muhlenberg, a team that goes 1-5 last year in the section, 4-7 overall. I mean, if you're talking to their fans right now, what's some motivation, what's some positives you can take away as they try to take a step forward here in 2025?
Well, I don't think you want to get too far ahead of yourself. I mean, you have to play for yourself, not play for expectation.
Sure.
And I think that Coach Flowers is good at that. I mean, he's really good at, compartmentalizing, each particular portion of practice, each particular day. I've been around, Rob for a few years here, and I think that's a big advantage that Muhlenberg has.
I think it's going to be a grudge match. Two teams that want to run the football. 2,000-yard rusher last year, Cam Small back, arguably their best player on their team. So both teams are going to want to run the football. Muhlenberg's got the home field advantage. Coming up on our monitor right here.
Oh, I don't know.
And it looks like, Rob Flowers. I like it. All right.
Oh, okay.
So that got done in December. And then throughout the course of, the off season, it's our community of winners. I mean, that's what we do. It's uplifting people. It's making people understand that you can do anything in your life. Making people understand that you just got to work hard. You're going to get positive results from it. So that's why we coined that model for us, like community of winners. We are a community of winners, and that's exactly what it is. We were when I was here. We will be when I'm gone. We're going to be while we're here. We are a community of winners. We finished our season on a win with a lot of our young men.
Teams do that.
Not a lot of teams do that. With a lot of our young men coming back. So when we got that phone call to play that game, it was a no-brainer. Yes, we will play. The Eastern Conference Championship game, yes, it's a no-brainer. We'll play. We understand that we were 3-7 at the time. We understand we had a losing record, but we were going to finish our season with success because we're building our football program. Now, the next part of it is just our commitment to the weight room by these young men in our football program has made a major difference. We were excited to watch our young men fail in the weight room, then succeed in the weight room, and then get out there and run around in spring ball. And they'll tell you they're moving around differently. I am so excited to watch our young men move around on Monday when we put some helmets and shoulder pads on. I'm excited to see how that looks.
I talk about the fact of, look out for that sleeping giant because eventually it's going to awake. And do you think that this program is at that point where you can contend for a section champ?
Oh, there's no thinking. We're at that point where we can contend. We're at that point. And we told people this was going to happen sooner than people thought. And we told them. We told our kids that. I told people that. We told people that. We just had to organize some things. We got to go out there and perform. We know that. But again, we're building people up. We're going to keep doing that.
Yeah.
Oh, the most difficult part. That's an interesting question.
There's a lot of factors involved.
Oh, there's a lot. I don't know, man. Sheesh. That's a tough question. I don't usually get stumped either, man.
I know that's.
I get the most difficult part. I would say, I don't know. They're still young men. Like, and we look at all of our young men uniquely differently as who they are as an individual, and that's important. That's probably a challenge. Tony needs something different than Cam needs, who needs something different than Z, who needs something different than Mike. And we do a pretty good job as a staff talking to everybody individually different, and that takes a lot of work. I would say that's the biggest challenge. Is once you grab it, okay, cool. I know what gets Tony going. I know what gets Cam going. Like, I can tell Cam, don't get tackled by one person. That pisses him off. Right? I know how to get under Mike's skin. I know how to get under Z's skin, but I also know how to pick those guys back up. So I think that's the biggest challenge is once you tap in, it's people stuff. So once you tap into who that person is, then you have to find a way to get them to just be great. And we got to keep working.
Well, it's always a pleasure to talk to Rob Flowers. We're looking forward to big things from you over at football. Thanks for some of your time here on Media Day today.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Well, here's your fan vote. Muhlenberg, I jumped the gun a little bit earlier, I had to say my apologies. Great information there from Coach Flowers. I know he's obviously excited to get this season underway, but Governor Mifflin will win the fan vote in this one. Great to see and hear, honestly, more importantly, Mick Vecchio is talking about his memories with Muhlenberg and Mifflin, going head-to-head, back and forth. A lot of years.
And Rob Flowers is a Muhlenberg, grad, too. I mean, he got some real history there.
Well, let's move on to our next matchup. We're getting through it one by one here. Appreciate you guys sticking with us. It's a lot of fun. Each and every week is somewhere new, right? Traveling somewhere new, seeing different fans.
What do you mean each and every week?
Each and every well, for you, a little different, a different story. Let's before we do that, got to pay the bills. Let's go to break. Quick timeout. Step aside. We'll be right back, and we'll touch on the final portion here of our 2025 schedule.
Hey guys, we're heading into No Albies here in West Reading. We've got the West Reading French Fry Fest next Saturday, so we're gonna shoot a little content with Massimo in here for the Visit West Reading Instagram page.
Legend has it that when you need a great used car or truck, the Woo Man is there to guide you. He's mysterious and subtle, but somehow you know he's there. He'll show you the lesson of award-winning service. He'll whisper the secrets of a free year of roadside service. And he'll regale you with tales of a 7,500-mile powertrain warranty with your purchase. As he stands over his land of selection, he turns to us and says,
Woo.
We're Dean's Auto Plaza, Hanover's car and truck giant.
Welcome back, everyone, to our 2025 preseason kickoff show. Max Gretzula, Bruce Badgley, been with you throughout. We'll continue our lineup of games. Again, 10 games in 10 weeks. We're getting there. We're huffing and puffing, slowly but surely.
The show's going to last about 10 weeks.
Oh, well, we're trucking along here, as people like to say. Next one's going to be Oxford, Unionville. Another matchup of two teams that are, climbing an uphill battle in their district.
Yeah, so many of these matchups are teams that are trying to get from the center of the standings to the upper echelon. And, both the Unionville and Oxford playoff teams last year. Mm-hmm. But the next step, hey, let's get a home playoff game. But, boy, they've got some really, some tough teams, to get over that hump.
Sure.
And I think that's the toughest thing for them. I think that they're going to be fine this season, in their conference and what have you. But when it comes to the postseason, there is such depth of talent in the 5A and 6A draw in District 1. It's just going to really be hard for these guys to work up the food chain.
Well, talk about just, I guess, mentally from a student-athlete perspective when, somebody like yourself says that, right? Well, the regular season, highs and lows, but ultimately when you get to the playoffs, it's a downfall. How much does that weigh on you year after year, honestly, when you think to yourself, listen, the regular season, it's going to be pros and cons. Could be some win streaks, could be some losing streaks, definitely going to make the playoffs on paper, but then you got to go on the road and play powerhouse and your season ends. how do you change the mentality on there?
Yeah, I mean that is a great question because I hear it a lot. I mean, so many times I have conversations with coaches, and they put all this time and effort and whatever like that, and they just kind of look to the sky and say, "How are we going to get past those guys?"
Right.
But that's life.
Sure.
Nothing is handed to you,
yeah.
right? And it just means that you got to work harder. That you got to try and find ways.
Capitalize off the mistakes too.
Well, sometimes you got to work around it too, in maybe doing something in your regular season schedule, but now that's becoming even more difficult with conferences, like the Lancaster Lebanon League and the Mid-Penn Conference that are going to basically give only one non-league game to teams. So the only people you've got to butt heads with are the ones in your own district. And sometimes you need that, winnable game on your schedule,
100%.
right?
Yeah, and these two teams both finished with a record of 6-4 a season ago. So when these two teams match up this year, as a bug flies right in my face, when these two teams match up this year, it's almost like, hey, you give yourself an opportunity to, you want to be 7-3, you want to be 6-4. That could play dividends as you get later towards the regular season or towards the end of the regular season and then into the playoffs as well.
The toughest postseason tournaments, in my opinion, for football are the 5A and 6A playoffs in District 1. You actually you play for, there's no buys. I mean, you got 16 teams. You're playing 4 games, okay?
Yep.
That is the only district, I think, in all of Pennsylvania that has that that there's no buys and they're just strapping it up for 4 games and the winner gets to go on. So it is a real just grudge match, and it's not for the faint of heart.
No, definitely not for the faint of heart. I think with one of these matchups here, when you talk about how District 1 has kind of, went or transpired top to bottom over the last handful of years, for our District 1's fans out there watching, what can they expect, I guess, top of the food chain, so to speak, moving forward here going into 2025? Because you mentioned it off camera. We talked about it, having to kind of hop over and jump into, that first, second, third spot. What are some teams to highlight to look forward to?
We saw it a little earlier. I mean, in the rankings there, Chester being one of them, that has really, that program has just, it was there and a good program, but now, consecutive years of 1 loss. I think actually 2 years ago, I think undefeated.
Sure.
I mean, there are teams that can rise up, and the proof is in the pudding too. You look at programs, that can come back. Here's those state rankings again, but Garnet Valley, same district as Oxford and Unionville, and also there Chester. So
having to play 2 top 10 teams in the 5A states is tough.
We're having
year
to
in and year
go
out.
through them. I mean, they're going to have to go through them. In all likelihood, they're going to be playing one or both. And but like I said, that just comes down to mental toughness and why football is a year-round sport, because it not only builds you physically, but it's the mental aspect of the game that propels teams to get out of mediocrity and into greatness.
Well, I'm sure fans love matchups like this when you talk about a fan vote, because they're truly another one of these that can go either way. 6-4 last year versus 6-4 last year, 2 teams, and obviously interesting to see Oxford's going to win this one. The road team in this matchup, we'll see if they can go on the road.
I think that's the
and get a
first
W.
road team that came up with the fan vote.
It may have been. You know what, Bruce? We've been here pretty long.
I know.
So we have to go back and check.
Yeah.
But off the top of my head, I think you might be right.
All right.
Next matchup, moving along, diving in. It's going to be a fun one. Can't wait to be there at Unionville. Let's move on. Let's talk about what we have next. Another big-time matchup here. Hempfield on the schedule yet again. This will be our second time seeing them at this point in the season as we get, one thing I also say, we're sitting here sweating bullets right now. A couple months from now, we're going to be,
we're going to be thankful for sweating.
Yes. Yes. 100%. So this is one of those matchups as we get into October, where you say to yourself, okay, we're going to start having to bring a jacket, but, Wilson on the road, they're going to take on Hempfield. For me, a little bit of a hike. So that'll be a lot of fun. Hempfield always provides us with a nice area, and I'll say one thing that I like about their school and their field, you have the roof. You have the roof to get that nice wide shot. I know Brandon likes that behind the scenes to open up our show. So looking forward to that. But on the field, it might be a different story with Wilson coming off a very impressive season to say the least.
Wilson, really, just a lot of returning quality players.
Yep.
Seeing Doug Doms, and I think we're going to play that interview upcoming. You should, he's got a level of excitement.
Always has a lot of good experience
in his voice. But, as I touched on when we talked about Hempfield a little bit earlier, I think that they're tired of looking up at two teams all the time there in Section 1 of the Lancaster Lebanon League, Wilson being one of them. And, they're just going to have to take it into their own hands. And, everything lines up for them. They're playing at home. They've got a veteran team, and they're just going to have to show it on the field. And, I think we're getting ready to go to Coach Doms, right? We got the Coach Doms.
We got Coach Doms loaded up. Let's hear from him.
Well, it all starts, I think, with our in-school lifting. We have everybody coming into school at 7 o'clock in the morning, and we go and lift every day all year long. And that goes right into their first period, and they actually get phys ed credit for that. So that's the start of it. Spring ball comes around. You got, 2 weeks of spring ball, and then we go into our summer workouts, which is 3 hours a day, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And, they're expected to be there. Right? They know what they have to do. They know they have to be there in order to win, in order to uphold the tradition and take on all challengers. Because every year they're going to have a big target on their back, and they're going to get the best everybody's got to offer.
Well, great to hear from Doug Doms again. He's a legend. Another one.
Just voted into the Hall of Fame this last offseason.
Maddox Gruber gone. That's the main question at the quarterback position. I think going into last season, you say to yourself, can Maddox Gruber push this team and propel them to new heights? He proved he could do that. Obviously, moving on now from graduation, but I think one of the biggest things in the beginning of the year was how is he going to fit as a passer? And he kind of did it with the arm and with the legs as well. Truly a special season from a quarterback position. Returning around him, some really key players. We touched on Wilson earlier in our segment, as we did Hempfield as well. Do you expect the same type of season from Wilson again this year?
Yeah, I really do. I just, Wilson has so much returning talent. I think clearly they're the number one in Section 1 of the Lancaster Lebanon League. And so now they've got to go out and create that chemistry with a new quarterback once again. It seems like that's a broken record for Wilson over the last few years, is having to fill that quarterback position year after year.
Easier said than done.
And Coach Doms does it, though.
Yep, 100%.
With Maddox Gruber and the players, ahead of him. So I don't have any qualms about that. I think from Wilson's perspective, it's all right. Obviously, I would favor them in this game against Hempfield, but boy, I tell you what, it's a real tough road to hoe beyond the Lancaster Lebanon League for Wilson this year. In District 3, and it touched on it. The 6A returning champion is Harrisburg, and that's who put a thumping on Wilson at Severance Field last year. If there's some way that Wilson can somehow come up with, say, a higher seed in the district power rankings, I think that's important. And that's why I think it's important for the overall play of the Lancaster Lebanon League this year. Wilson's got to be rooting for everybody else.
Sure.
Because they need to have all of their opponents win games except against them, okay?
Of course.
So that they can host a home playoff game against Harrisburg. So keep your eye just on all of Section 1 of the Lancaster Lebanon League and how they do, because that's the key, I think, for Wilson to try and get beyond Wilson or Harrisburg is everybody else in the Lancaster Lebanon League.
Well, and also this, just to wrap up with Hempfield as well, they lost two of their top receivers, right? Cam Margison gone, second team all-league receiver, Section 1 receiver of the year. Braden Charles gone as well. So Catch did throw for 2,000 yards last year at the quarterback spot for Hempfield. Will he be able to do it again with still good talent around them, but 2 great pass catchers gone. We shall see. On that note, Wilson, obviously my guy Joe Mays behind the scenes, great dude.
Right. Yeah, he's got.
He hopefully will join us for that one. And just a little tease here, famous running back from the past for Wilson as well, hoping to get him in the booth with us as we head into October as well. So that'll be a lot of fun. I know you've got to see your fair share of Wilson games throughout your day.
Absolutely. I mean, it's so impressive to see them just reload year after year after year, and all you have to do is just follow the Wilson program all the way from where Coach Joe, he's coached for a reason. Joe Mays is because he's part of the youth. He coaches in the youth football program for Wilson, who, in my opinion, I mean, it's such a powerful feeder program to the varsity. It's just amazing.
I got some good Joe Mays stories. I want to save a few for the broadcast.
Yeah, you should. Save
them for the broadcast. But may have asked him to hang out after our broadcast. Said he couldn't. Has 2 kids. It's all right. I get it. Being a dad. It is what it is.
Exactly.
Let's pop up the fan vote there. You see it on your screen. Wilson, obviously.
Yeah, going
as
away,
we see, we expected this year.
Yeah, we did expect that.
So Wilson's going to have a great season on paper and probably will on the field as well. So a lot to look forward to there. Let's go to our next matchup, Bruce. Another big one. 2 teams that you know well. And I sound like a broken record, but it is true. You know them both very well.
Well, I mean, New Oxford and West York, right?
Yep.
I mean, that's our next broadcast.
And West York, we touched on earlier in the broadcast.
And New Oxford, I tell you what, heartbreak hotel for them. Each of the last 2 years, they've gone into the district playoffs as the number 1 seed in 5A. They've had a first-round bye, and oh my, they got beat their first game at home. Each of the last 2 years is the number 1 seed. I think that there's a lot of pressure on New Oxford this year. I mean, how can you have an undefeated season and and have the disappointment of a first-round loss at home? I think that there's a lot of pressure on that team, but they do have a lot returning, and it's hard to imagine that they're not going to be a number 1 seed again, in the district. At least they'll give it a run. But
another mental block in a way, though, right? When you lose two years in a row on your home turf in the playoffs,
it's that's tough. That's the same thing. I mean, I honestly wasn't around the team in the offseason. I would have liked to have seen New Oxford in the offseason.
Yep.
Following back-to-back years of disappointing early exits in the playoffs.
Well, there's players who, from a West York perspective, that are gone. We touched on this a little bit earlier on. Their starting quarterback last year gone. They're going to go with a sophomore at the helm. So this matchup really can go either way. But I like what you're thinking. You're thinking ahead. You're thinking big picture in the playoffs because I think, touched on mentally again, from that perspective, 2 years in a row. I know it's another grind. It's another offseason for all these players to go through training camp, to go through their regular season. And even mentally, when you say to yourself, hey, we can have a great regular season, put us in position as a number 1 seed, and still not get the job done come October, November at the end, that's got to weigh on you a little bit.
Yeah, it does. But again, I think that this game is so enormous for West York, too. We've been touching
and they have the home field advantage.
Right, and they do. But it's so much, it's so important for them because we've been talking about so much related to, power rankings and how some of these teams can get, to the next level. Well, the first thing is getting a home playoff game, okay? And West York against New Oxford. New Oxford is a 5A team. West York, a 4A team. So much more on the line for West York, or for New Oxford than West York. New Oxford has to win this game because it would be a terrible drop in their power ranking. West York, though, uses to their advantage. This is how maybe they could get into a home playoff game in the 4A against a pretty tough field of opponents. So I think an important game for West York to come out with the W here.
I agree, especially on their home turf. Let's see if the fans agree. No, they don't.
Woo!
New Oxford gets the win in this one. Does that surprise you at all?
It doesn't. I mean, it really doesn't.
You're making it sound like they need to win this game. Like this is a must-win at this point.
Both teams really need it. I mean, there's so much riding on this game. I mean, New Oxford in the fact that there's so much to lose if they lose, and West York so much to take advantage of if they do win.
Well, I'll tell you what. As we get deeper and deeper into the show, we get deeper and deeper into our schedule. And we got the gauntlet ahead of us out of our last break. Everyone stay with us.
Honey.
Time to go to Dean's. For every phase of your life, Dean's Auto Plaza has you covered.
Hey, Dad, can I borrow the keys?
Time to go to Dean's again. Whether it's your first car, your family car, or your dream car, you gotta come back to Dean's. Dean's Auto Plaza, Hanover's car and truck giants. Experience the Dean's difference.
One block to go here at Exeter Township High School as we roll through our 2025 preview show and our schedule. First things first, before we wrap up this last segment, appreciate you guys being with us. This is going to be a lot of fun this year. It's always fun to put on and be a part of for you guys, the fans. That's really who we do this for overall. And we have a ton of great matchups. We're going to end with two of the biggest ones of the year down the stretch. And we're going to start with Twin Valley versus Lampeter Strasburg.
Wow. I mean, it's since Coach Myers has gotten to Twin Valley, the attitude of this team has just changed, and the attitude of the community. I mean, you're looking at practice here, and it's just so much fun for me to just stand around and listen to a Twin Valley practice, and you see Coach Myers there. I'll tell you what, he is just the epitome of what a football coach is. He's got his son playing on the team this year again, and going to be a real stud at linebacker and running back. So I just really like everything about Twin Valley. And, this whole Section 4, they're butting heads against LS there, Coach Rittenauer. I mean, he lost a lot, got to the state championship game only to lose. I'll tell you what, I mean, so much involved in this particular game. These are two playoff teams, clearly in my mind, and they're just going to strap it up and just knock the snot out of one another.
Isn't that what we like? Isn't that what we're here for?
Oh, a snot knocker, yeah.
Yeah, we're here for all the fun. And I got to tell you, I know Brandon's got a lot of great highlights for you guys. Last season, our crew was there at LS. It was Twin Valley on the road. And really, Evan Myers came into that game riding a big-time high. Just wasn't his night. Caleb House went insane on the ground. You see a lot of our highlights from last season in 2024. But, I mean, man, Caleb House, it was his night, to say the least. If you think about, a high school dream with a sold-out crowd, really hard to find a parking spot that night, Bruce. I'm not going to lie to you. That place was packed.
Well, LS is not the easiest parking there. You really have to get there early.
Well, sometimes it's a little bit hard for me. but here you go. You had the dynamic, though. I mean, Caleb, look at this. I mean, he is making defenders miss left and right. Jump cut after jump cut. And how about his tailback down there, Dominic Brown, number 7, going the distance, just in case he needs an extra blocker.
Yeah, no, but, that just shows you the how much that Lampeter lost. And forgetting about, the talent that was on the field, the leadership that those two players exhibited for the rest of that team is immeasurable.
Yeah, as we wrap up these highlights and an insane night, a crazy night for Caleb House. I mean, I'm sure he still is going to think about that one, for the rest of his life as a high school athlete and beyond, of course. But when you talk about this year's matchup, things have changed. Obviously, Evan Myers is gone after being a 4-year starter. A lot of pressure on both of these teams moving forward here. Who do you think has who do you think has more pressure on them?
Oh, I think Twin Valley is squarely. I mean, losing on the road, and Coach Myers, he doesn't forget. I mean,
sure.
He really will remember what happened last year. He's not going to forget the fact that at one point last year, Twin Valley was ranked number 1 in the state in 4A. And then it seemed like it went to their heads because right after that, it seemed like they kind of went into a little bit of a tailspin.
Well,
But,
and also you talk about Reese Hall earlier in our broadcast. Well, I'll tell you what, Evan Johnson, another member of this Twin Valley team a season ago that's gone. I mean, he was one of the best running backs in the section. They're going to have to replace him as well. That's going to be a tough loss.
yeah, but, all I can say is the experience that I've seen from Coach Myers over there. This is a man who took Middletown to 3 consecutive 3A state championships.
Yep.
Okay, the guy knows how to reload. And I think that that's going to be the same thing with Twin Valley this year. I think that they're going to reload, and I think that they're going to have, just that LS is plastered, in their locker room.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, I think that Twin Valley, probably comes away with this. I think LS, obviously with so much of, graduation losses that they'll have. But remember, this is a late season matchup, so teams will have already created their chemistry for this year by this time. But I think Twin Valley is one of those teams to keep an eye on this year.
And you mentioned Coach Myers. One son gone, another one still on the team. You wanted to highlight him, obviously off camera, and for obvious reasons. I mean, he's one of the leaders at the linebacker position, one of the best players coming into this year, both on and off the field.
Yeah, but even beyond that, I think that there are guys that will step into that leadership role for Twin Valley, and I think they're going to be just fine.
Drew Engel banged up last year, missed most of the year. He's a running back and D-back at the same time, much like Evan Johnson was. So he's a super talented player. He's going to jump on board, hopefully be healthy this year, and play a big part in this Twin Valley team. But let's talk about and flip the script here. You got LS, obviously still dominant, still high expectations. No Caleb House, no Dominic Brown. A lot of these teams, and I should say really a lot in all these sections, but these two specifically losing their starting quarterback and their starting tailback, and not just to say they're starters, but some of the best players in the entire section.
Or even in the history of the school.
Sure.
I mean,
yeah.
You don't just replace guys like that. Coach Rittenauer has just done a tremendous job with LS since taking over in, turning this into a program, just like, Coach Myers has done in Twin Valley. And, obviously he's got his son, Lucas Myers, doing, stellar things there. Coach Rittenauer doing the same thing on the other side of the ball. He's had guys in mind to fill those shoes. And I think those shoes will be filled, but it's just a question of who do you think the better athletes are? And, in my mind this year, I think Twin Valley, one of the teams to watch, not only in the section, district, but also the state.
Well, I tell you what, overall, when you talk about what you just mentioned, some of the best players in school history, when you talk about Evan Myers, the all-time passing leader, Evan Johnson, the all-time touchdown leader, both in the same graduating class. Yeah. I mean, that's super impressive overall. Let's reveal the fan vote here real quick. One of our biggest games of the season. LS.
That's surprising.
Has the advantage. And is it because of the home field advantage?
I don't know. It's been very interesting. I mean, I think it just is a testament to the reach of Flagship Network. It hasn't been. That's the thing to me. I mean, obviously, Brandon Faust and the guys here at Flagship Network, a second year. I mean, have had really good outreach in that, and this hasn't been a Homer fan poll.
No,
I mean we've had some Lancaster Lebanon teams show up. Obviously, we had to do the District 1 there as well. So LS, I'm surprised, but not surprised.
Yeah, well, LS, on that note, not only they lose their starting quarterback and their starting running back, you're also talking about one of their better receivers and linebackers, Danny Weichler. He's gone. Emery Fleur, another linebacker, 2 big-time starters there at the middle spot of that defense. They're going to be gone. So I think this is a great game, not only because these two teams are very talented. I think the timing of this game, I think, is more specific that I wanted to say. How over the season, how impressive both of these teams, or how much will they impress, I guess is a better way to put it, by the time we get this late in the year to week 9. Both of these head coaches with a lot to look forward to. And you see as we get into our next matchup,
and
big-time names there.
Right, the 4A state rankings, LS lost to Bonner Pendergast in the 4A state championship last year. McKeesport, really a powerhouse team, in the Whippeal. You see Weil there as well. that is just a loaded 4A state rankings. And, quite honestly, I do believe that Twin Valley deserved to be there. And so we'll see how it all plays out. Aliquippa, obviously, the name and the history of Aliquippa football, just precedes itself there. So, we're ready for our Week 10 matchup here.
Yep. Last but not
Ohio and LS. I mean, great segue there, showing that you have right now 2 preseason top 10 4A teams facing off in what last year determined the Section 4 title.
Well, you got the highlights of that game. I mean, right here. I mean, these two teams went at it. It was a 30-27 victory for LS in that game over Wyomissing to win the District 3 Class 4A championship. They advanced. You mentioned this to Bonaprendergast, lost. It was their first one, and I tell you what, that was a heck of a game overall, and to watch really from start to finish.
Well, I think that's what gives, I think, a lot of people at Lampeter Strasburg hope, and that is the experience that entire team of the returning players having played and gone through that, and then the disappointment of that just leaves just an enormously bad taste, in a team's mouth. And you have to believe, and I have to, and I gotta believe, Coach Ridenour is using everything in his power to use that to his advantage in this offseason to motivate this new group of guys.
Well, let's touch on Asher Jones, too. I mean, this is a guy who's going to step in for Caleb House. He got his fair share of work just because LS was blowing teams out of the water last year, and he came in on mop-up duty. So at least he has some experience.
Yeah, he does. And it is a lot different when you're on mop-up duty versus really having the guy to carry the load. But I truly believe that there, the history of the reloading there at LS, I mean, has been head-shaking for a lot of people, me included. But I do believe that maybe you can take some good out of a 4A championship loss for LS, PIAA championship loss, by just creating that impetus to win that championship.
And we know there's some competition, obviously, in the preseason here with Brady Eisenhower, Teddy White, who's going to come away with that starting job. Lot to still be determined, and obviously we're all going to look forward to it. I think for the most part here, you look at Chase Eisenhower as well, 700-plus rushing yards a season ago, 13 touchdowns, defensive back of the year in Section 4, Justice Hardy, 9.3 yards per carry, 15 touchdowns.
Justice Hardy,
I mean, he's a monster.
He is a monster. He is.
Anytime you average 9+ yards per carry, I mean, come on. Basically, anytime you touch the ball, you're getting a first down almost.
And the whole underrated thing is his play on defense. I think that he's a great defensive player as well.
Defensive back of the year. Let me say that again, just to make sure.
I'm just saying, nobody talks about that as much. I mean, it was the defensive side of the ball for Hardy. And clearly, in my mind, the most underrated player, most underrated talent in the state of Pennsylvania, even though he has all these awards, he doesn't, maybe he needs to be more demonstrative on the attention side,
Probably. Yeah, I would say so,
he's
too.
a great talent.
Obviously, the highlights that we put together were amazing. That game against LS was truly something special. Justice Hardy, I think the biggest thing for him is staying healthy this year. He's been banged up left and right. Not long-term, obviously, because he still put together a fantastic season. It's been, some of the soft tissues and knee and whatnot. So obviously have to keep him healthy. That's the biggest thing. As we move forward here towards the end, we have one more coaching interview. It's from Coach Wolfram, and I know he gave a lot of great information. Let's hear from him.
What are some of the goals and expectations for this team that you're ready to put out on the field in a couple of weeks?
That they play like a Wyomissing football team should play. And that's maximum effort, being ready to prepare not only physically but mentally for games. And we really can't do much more than that. It's week by week. We expect to be there at the end of the year, but we can't worry about games down the road. I'd much rather play a tough team that we're not sure. When we're not sure if we're going to win or not, we've got some pretty amazing performances under our belt. And I love it that way. I wish I could get a whole schedule of Twin Valley and Lampeter Strasburg, our most recent, big games. So that's just the way it is for me.
Well, Coach Wolfram, to round out our coaching interviews, obviously a great one to end on. 39 years of head coach experience going into his 39th year, I guess I should say. But the experience factor could play a massive role in this matchup this year with LS.
It always does. I mean, it always does. Not to take anything away from Coach Ridnour, but, up close and personal, when you see Coach Wolfram work with his staff, it is a thing of beauty. And there's a reason why the man's a legend, and it's because he's just fantastic with not only his coaches, but with his players. I mean, you don't create the type of affection people have for him by accident.
Well, we get to end our 2025 preseason kickoff show with while missing who our producer Brandon obviously went to. So we get to go there a long time ago. No, I'm kidding. But we get to go there last week of the season. We get to go back to the alma mater for him. I'm sure he's excited to do that. This time as a worker, he's working and putting together a broadcast for you guys. So obviously looking forward to that. Can't be thankful enough for all of you guys tuning in and watching us here. It's been a long day here at Exeter Township High School.
It's dark,
but it's pitch dark out here. But we appreciate you guys hanging out and joining us, and we can't wait 7 days from tonight to be there at Elko. Hopefully you guys can come out and join us, and if you can't, you can tune in to Flagship Network on the YouTube channel for free all season long. So, again, as we say goodbye, Max Gretzula, Bruce Badgley, one final time. We'll see you in 7 nights, everyone. Have a great night.